Hey, what's up, guys? All right, cool. NOVAEO New Moon. I know we've used the New Moon moniker like a year ago with Project Phoenix New Moon, but we really didn't go anywhere with that. We were, I don't know, just really stuck in some poor execution of things and a lot of kind of like mental chaos in general. And so I'm gonna reuse the name New Moon because I like it and it's very it's a perfect name for what we are about to embark on. So with that, our old phase that we've been in, our old season that we've been in for years, Project Phoenix, is while we still have Project Phoenix projects in operation, we are now moving into the next phase of NOVAEO, which is NOVAEO New Moon. Project Phoenix was about rising from the ashes. For those that are relatively new, back at the end of 2019, we had our Amazon store shut down. We were at $1 million a month and shut down overnight unexpectedly. Then we ran straight into the pandemic, and it has been a very, very rough ride since. We've lost millions of dollars year after year. In fact, last year, 2022, was a huge win at a $600,000 annual loss. But January 2023, we had our first profitable month in a very long time, $600. Wasn't negative, but this past February, we had almost 40K profit, and March is going to be even more, I think. I don't have the numbers yet, but I think it's going to be even more. So this is the trigger that signifies, okay, guys, we're about there. So like I said, we still have some Project Phoenix operations and projects underway, content refresh and various other things. And we still have, several months on those. But NOVAEO New Moon is less about the projects, which is what Project Phoenix was. It was about what do we need to do to fix ourselves financially so that we can continue existence. And now NOVAEO New Moon is about how do we finally manifest, how do we create and execute these idealistic visions that I've had for NOVAEO for years that some of you guys have heard me talk about, but in reality, we've never had the headspace or, basically just the headspace to actually operate. So you guys have heard me use words like pods. The recruiting process talks about teal organizational structure. You've heard me talk about harmony and all of these things that, sound great, but really it kind of leaves everyone like, do you know what he's talking about? Do you know what he's talking about? And the reality is we haven't actually done any of that. We've been using the words, but we have not done any of it. So forget what you know about pods, about harmony, about teal organizational structures. Forget all of it. That's what NOVAEO New Moon is. NOVAEO New Moon is the phase that we are entering now, in which we are going to truly establish new organizational structure, new relationships between individual and organization or community, new perspective of who we are as individuals within the community, meaning no longer do we just view ourselves in a professional sense. We are now looking at holistic well-being and progression in all areas of, or all categories of wellness, which I would break down to be, physical wellness, mental/emotional wellness, spiritual wellness, which to define that is not what religion you have, but it is your pursuit and progression in understanding who you are inside of yourself at your most fundamental, most core level, outside of all societal and environmental and familial programming and patterns, and continue progression and search for who you are in relation to everything outside of you. That's spiritual wellness. So physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social wellness as well, which includes friends, colleagues, lovers, family, everything, all of your interactions with other people. NOVAEO is now moving in the direction to help you focus on all of these things, and not just focus, but we will be doing that through incentive systems. And some of you guys, veterans, have heard me talk about these wellness incentives for a long time, but we've never been in a situation where we've actually been able to start implementing them. And that's going to change basically today. Now, this is going to be a slow incremental increase, but basically what we're going to be doing here is setting team-wide targets, primarily just based off of our overall monthly revenue. That's going to be the easiest team target to look at for now, but that'll change over time. We'll have like maybe multiple targets in different areas of different teams, but ultimately team targets that once we hit them, we will be releasing more and more of these basically like community perks, these benefits for being in the NOVAEO community or even the NOVAEO team. So moving into the pod system, I'm going to be communicating, actually, in fact, here in Puerto Escondido, where I've been for the past like 3 weeks, I have been doing so much work conceptualizing, note-taking, creative writing, and video content creation around moving these ideas of pods, holacracy, harmony, all these ecosystem, all these things out of my mind into Google Docs, videos, audio files, all kinds of stuff. And as we move forward, we are going to be moving from those mediums into actual SOPs and systems for us to start executing on, as well as moving this stuff into the public, for the public to see. And what that's going to do is, for the NOVAEO people that have the right mindset about NOVAEO and about this vision, it's going to really help you generate a huge sense of pride, because we're going to be doing something that no one else in the world, to my knowledge, has ever tried to do before. And that is to basically bridge our lives so that it's not just focused on, we're not just in a professional organization anymore, we're in a true community that looks at all those different aspects of wellness, that supports each other to progress in all of those different areas, not just professional. So over the course of the next month, 2 months, we're going to start moving into the pod system, and I'll have information on what that means. We're going to start really communicating, well, basically developing and communicating and managing our harmony systems. And we're going to be getting started the wellness / lifestyle systems as well, all of which is going to have incentives tied to it, so everyone's income has the opportunity to start going up, which is awesome. And ultimately what I need from you guys is a general understanding that there's going to be a dramatic shift. And for the people that are in this team, more or less because it's a job, need to make an income, but really keep as much of their mind outside of the team as possible, living a life outside of the team. A lot of people maybe in this dynamic try to basically hide from systems, try to exploit the laid backness of NOVAEO in general. We've always been very empathetic and sympathetic when it comes to potential terminations and stuff like that. Those people are going to find that this dramatic shift is going to perhaps repel them. Because we're going to, as we develop the harmony systems, these systems are going to be very strict. 100% compliance of harmony systems is what we need in order for the pod system to work. And I know right now you're still kind of like, well, I still don't know what the pod system is and what harmony systems are you talking about. That's fine. But for everyone else, you are going to experience an extreme amount of increase in freedom and new awareness and perspective of things outside of your professional career that you may have in your heart known that you should pay attention to, but haven't been. These other areas of wellness and areas that you can progress yourself. And so for these individuals, you are going to feel, I guess as I said, a huge sense of freedom. a freedom to create, a freedom of time. It's going to be amazing. So we're going to see a split between people. And for the people that don't fit this culture, that don't fit this structure, we thank you for your time. Everyone's going to have the opportunity, but thank you for your time, but we need to find the people that really are at this higher state of evolved consciousness, that are able to be autonomous in themselves, so that we can be autonomous in pods, in entities, and therefore the whole ecosystem itself to be self-regulating. So what we have is, we have these different pods that are different teams that are operating either projects or functions that are tied together through a collective shared bigger picture vision, and tied together in process through the harmony systems. And that's why we're going to be extremely strict with harmony systems. So for example, the Loom reports. We are now going to offer what's going to start off as a $25 bonus. I hope to increase that as our numbers as a team increase, but we're going to be offering a $25 per month bonus to the entire team when the entire team has 100% compliance with our Loom report harmony system. And we're going to be publicizing who is 100% compliant and who is not. So the folks who are not compliant feel the pressure to become compliant, because ultimately you're holding everyone else up from getting the bonus. We are seeking peer and team accountability in order to develop self-accountability. We are trying to eliminate as much as possible managerial accountability, because this is where the sense of freedom comes from. But no one on the team right now is fully self-autonomous, including myself. And no one that I've ever met is capable of remaining fully perfect discipline, perfect motivation and inspiration, just perfect across the board at all times at every stage of their life. And so Harmony, one of Harmony's big roles is going to be to help us develop how to be productive, how to be healthy, both at the individual level and at the collective level. And so that's what these systems are really about. And so another Harmony system that we're going to be finalizing here really soon is our ClickUp system. So ClickUp is basically your to-do list, it's your task management. It's at the individual level, and of course at the collective level. It has communication systems built into it as well. And once we finalize the ClickUp SOPs, the ClickUp system, we're going to release that. And then we're going to, just like the Loom reports, have a $25 per individual per month bonus tied to 100% compliance of the entire team. So for both of these, it's all or nothing, 100% compliance of the entire team or nothing. But before we start that, I want to bring awareness to 8 individuals that have been crushing it with their Loom reports for like the past month. And each of you guys are going to get a $25 bonus, but we will not continue that. And I'm sorry, I don't have the names ingrained into my brain right now, but I'll put that in text here in this thread. So we will not continue individual bonuses thereafter this. This is a quick thank you. You guys are exemplary, but from here on out, for these Harmony system bonuses, it's all or nothing, team or not. What we're also going to launch is our wellness bonus, our first wellness bonus. And initially, we're just going to keep things as simple as possible. As time goes on, as we scale, both in terms of number of team members, in terms of profitability, these kinds of things, we're going to be growing our wellness system significantly. Meaning we are even going to hire various wellness mentors or coaches whose full focus is going to be in the NOVAEO team. No outside clients, just NOVAEO, full-time. And initially, we will establish basically a jack-of-all-trades type of wellness mentor, someone that has good knowledge of all areas of wellness and can help curate programs and targets and therefore bonuses for the entire team. But as time goes on, we're going to get more and more specific. So for example, in the realm of wellness programs, we would want to look at things like what we consume, So basically that'd be like diet, nutrition, but also superfoods, dietary supplements, that kind of stuff, based on individual goals. We will look at what I would call movement. So think maybe fitness, but I don't really like fitness because fitness itself can actually be unhealthy. So movement, any modality in which you are moving your body, either consciously or through your subconscious, but either way with intention. So that could be yoga or kung fu or rock climbing or powerlifting or whatever. Breathing. I know this one's going to be really weird to even hear me say that for a lot of you, but just think about, we are breathing all the time, and it's bizarre, but most cultures, and I'm pretty sure all the cultures that are in the NOVAEO team, don't ever actually learn how to properly breathe. I mean, most of us breathe through our mouths. Like, that is not the ideal, most optimized way to breathe. You want deep, low breaths through the nose. And then you can even learn breathing patterns, like practices, that you can ultimately be changing your emotional state to whatever is ideal for the situation. Like if you're about to go work out, you can do a breathing regimen in order to give yourself a lot of energy. If you're about to go on stage and perform, you can reduce anxiety. If you're about to sleep, you can calm yourself down and bring yourself into the, I always mix the two, parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. Basically, one is when you're active, one is when you're supposed to be resting. But for a lot of us, myself included, even in our resting phase, we're in the wrong sympathetic nervous system. So anyway, breathing, what we consume, movement, then, like I said before, the spiritual side of things, which can be developed through meditation and various other practices as well. And what am I missing? I don't really know a good social wellness program. Actually, scratch that. I could come up with several right now. But yeah, we'll also have social wellness programs as well as we grow. So initially we would have like one wellness mentor that knows all this stuff and can help develop programs and targets for all of us. And then as time goes on, we'll have one mentor for each of these categories. And then as time goes on even further, we'll have even more specific. So like specifically maybe a yoga mentor versus a kung fu versus a power lifter. That's, you know, we're a ways away from that because we need to be able to afford all this stuff. But basically we're going to be spending money on things that ultimately aren't investments to help us achieve, at least directly, a bottom line profit. That's not NOVAEO's focus. Our bottom line profit is only a resource for us to create, for us to utilize creativity to develop cool shit for the world, for us to produce it, and for us to invest in ourselves, our own wellness, holistic wellness, and our own development, our own progression. So as we grow, I'm going to be building out a schedule of team-wide targets that when we hit them, we will then release the next lifestyle or wellness perk, or as we develop more and more harmony systems, we will be releasing perk systems for that as well. But basically, what I need the freedom. If ever we're on the decline in revenue, we'll have to give up some perks because ultimately I'm balancing the money that we're going to be making for the cost of the perks. So for example, right now, I actually wanted to do this video like a few weeks ago. Once we started really crushing it with monk fruit sales, just totally blowing us out of the water. Like for those of you that haven't been too close to the numbers, I'd say around this time last year, we were in like the $440,000 a month revenue range. We grew to like 515-ish throughout the year, which is cool from a percentage standpoint, but being that we were at 1 million not too long before that, like it really wasn't enough. And then, you know, we went through that really awful phase not too long ago. What was it, November, when we had to do a lot of cutting? Well, guys, we went from, I think it was like $100,000 loss in October. Oh no, it was $100,000 loss in September, $100,000 loss in October, and then like another $100,000 between November and December, to $600 profit in January to $40,000 profit in February. And again, I don't have March numbers, but let's just pretend it's somewhere around $60,000 profit in March. That is saying something. The cutting phase sucked, but man, did we succeed. Did we succeed. And so right now, we took off with those monk fruit sales, and it kind of seemed like a lot of stuff was going our way in general. I think we got almost up to 750. I think it was like 730, something like that. But many of you know about this, but a lot of our Amazon listings are getting suspended. This is not due to us. A lot of our competitors are also getting suspended too. There's something wild going on with the FDA sent a warning letter to Amazon last August, and Amazon's overreacting, and a bunch of weird shit's going on. We're still trying to figure it out, but that's really hurting us. And then we also just recently had not a great mistake, but like our shilajit powders were really taking off, and that was adding to that 730. And then we got a customer complaint that what we were selling wasn't shilajit powder, and that had us sounding what appears to be maybe false alarms, thinking that we had packaged the wrong material. So we did recall, like we apparently really overreacted. We haven't gotten the lab analysis back, but it looks like it was just a different specification of shilajit powder, and that we really never had to do any of this. We could have just responded to the customer, no, it's shilajit powder. It's just, a different specification than what you're used to. But because of this reaction, that's also adding to our downward spiral. But overall, depending on when those listings go back up, those Amazon listings, we should rebound, and maybe we're not going to shoot straight back up to 750, but we should be back on that climb. So I'm going to wait and see how far we dip. I don't think we're going to have to remove any of these perks that I just said. I think we're going to still be stay above 600. But I'm going to create the schedule, and we'll all be aware of what the schedule is, and we're all going to be looking at these numbers as a team once or twice a week. We'll be posting it in the wire, and that perk schedule will be outlined in comparison with our numbers, so we'll basically know what the next upcoming perk is, and we'll all be celebrating when we hit it. We'll all be doing our best to hit it. Oh yeah, the pod system. So other stuff. So again, I'm going to teach you guys a lot more about the pod system. Don't worry about not knowing what I'm talking about right now. But part of this pod system, part of creating autonomy, so that basically when the pod is formed, it basically means that NOVAEO Vision, which is primarily me, me and Derek. Derek's a little bit more of an operations mode right now, so he has less headspace to think about stuff. So mostly kind of me right now, but in general, me and Derek, NOVAEO Vision, NOVAEO Strategy, we determine what pods are needed, for growth or for function. And we determine when the resources are right to actually activate the pod. So we define the pod purpose. We recruit to the pod. We, as a team, as a pod, as all the people, we develop the full pod profile, which includes what are the KPIs, how do we measure our performance of success. We develop our targets. What are we all shooting for? Obviously, roles and responsibilities. And these KPIs, these targets are going to be both at the pod level and the individual level. Every single individual is going to know how they're being measured for performance in that pod and what their own individual targets are. And then we're going to be developing the bonus systems for both the individuals based on the targets and the pod collectively as a whole. And the end vision is that between the lifestyle bonuses, the harmony bonuses, the individual bonuses, the pod level bonuses, the community and team perks, and also the profit share. So we'll have a community profit share getting launched here pretty soon. Between all of those, your salary is going to be way less than 50% of your overall income. And no, we're not reducing salaries. So that means that if you guys provide me with your effort to get us to maybe get us back to that 1 million a month, which we were on trajectory to hit before this mishap. You guys get me back there. I will keep on building all these systems out for you so that your salary is maybe a third, 40% of your overall income. And again, not because we're reducing it, but because you're going to be collecting income from these other areas, these other perspectives to have. So with the first wellness bonus, I forgot to go into detail on this. The first wellness bonus, we're going to start off with something just nice and easy to do, and it's going to be steps. So we already had that 1 month where we, as a team, counted our steps. So we're going to kick off with doing steps. A target of 10,000 steps a day for every individual. Now, If you can't do that due to health reasons, injury, whatever, communicate to LJ. The idea here is not to have this really high standard. It's that whatever your initial target is, every month, should you hit your target, we're going to increase that a little bit. When it comes to wellness, it's not about jumping up to a state of extreme wellness. If you are currently mentally unwell, I'm in this boat right now. I've seen people in depression way worse than I am, but I am not at my best. I haven't been for a while. Lots of anxiety when I wake up. Depression's definitely there. It sucks. So I'm with you. To think that you can just move right out of it probably isn't going to happen. If you are not physically fit as though you would want to be, to think that you're going to wake up tomorrow and you could be, obviously won't happen. So NOVAEO's perspective is just continuous, small, very attainable, incremental progression. So if you're at 2,000 steps a day, fine, whatever. So to communicate to LJ, if 10,000 steps a day is too much for you, but where I really want to get us to with walking is for us to basically walk continuously for 40 minutes each day and to be mindful while we're doing it. And what I mean by that is be mindful of what you're thinking about. So if you're trapped in anxiety or worry, you go, oh shit, that's an anxious thought. Let me get rid of that. Until you catch yourself in healthy, positive thoughts. To be mindful of your posture and your breathing. And I know not everyone knows this stuff yet, but this is where I want to achieve us, is for everyone to understand proper walking posture, breathing, and how to take control of your mind and therefore your emotions. So I have found personally that 40 minutes a day of walking is ultimately all you need from a movement perspective to maintain, honestly, like a healthy looking, quality, beautiful aesthetic. Subjective to me anyway, I guess. It's all subjective. And that's coming from a guy that used to be a bodybuilder. So I know what it takes to move my body, or to what kind of tension I can throw at my body to create different kinds of looks and feelings and all that kind of stuff. Walking is really all you need. So if you are a runner or a jogger, no, that doesn't count. I literally mean mindful walking is where we were going to get to. This time, so we're starting at 10,000 steps because it's an easy way to measure. I would like for you guys to try to knock out 10,000 steps in one walk, because that's really what's important. It's not just how much walking you do throughout the day. It's that chunk of time out of your day where you're putting your mind inside of your body and being well. So this time will amount to eventually 40 minutes, but I'm not sure how long it takes to walk 10,000 steps. This is going to come out of your work expectation. So I want to eventually move us out of thinking in terms of our time inputs, 40 hours a week equals full time. We're going to work towards moving away from that and really only focusing on targets, value creation. But for now, we're not quite there yet. Again, like I said, none of us are able to walk into these ideals. None of us are fully self-empowered and autonomous. We need to be taught. We need to hold ourselves and each other accountable. We're not there yet. So this is all progression. But anyway, where was I going with that? One sec. Oh yeah, so if current task load is basically based on everyone working 8 hours a day, if you're at the I-Team offices, then you're probably at the office for 8 hours a day. I already talked to Abby about this. He gave his very enthusiastic thumbs up that I-Team members, you can either group up or whenever you want, go out for your walk for the day during your office time. So basically we are reducing our expectations of outputs by basically about 40 minutes per day. So for everyone else that's not in office, you will still benefit from that reduction in expectation. As we release more and more of these wellness bonuses, that's going to be what we do. Is we're taking it away from professional time. And even in the professional world, we're going to start moving away from it all being focused on execution of work, and we'll slip in time for growing your skill set and things like that, to where we eventually get to a point where maybe we're only working like 4 to 5 hours of actual work per day, but then we have other hours allocated towards these various other things that help grow us as individuals and therefore as a collective. In fact, the slogan or motto I keep on using whenever I'm writing or speaking in video, generating this content I told you about before, is if you empower the individual, you empower the collective. That is the mindset that we have. So rather than corporate world where you focus on the bottom line profit and you develop systems to make individuals sacrifice as much as possible for the benefit of the bottom line, have them chasing raises, have them chasing promotions, building that competitiveness so that people are kind of like growing like that or building jealousy or whatever. Instead of that, we're focusing on the individual. Make the individual as strong as they can possibly be, and then your collective is going to be as strong as it can possibly be. But again, this isn't going to be suited for everyone. This is going to be very easy to exploit. You know, it's going to sound like a dream to so many people, but the reality is it's going to be a lot of work, and it's going to be a lot of focus. And so that's why we are going to be demanding very, 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 very strict compliance with the Harmony systems. It's basically operate 100% within the Harmony system, and that gives you the freedom to be completely free in all other ways of your inner workings with NOVAEO. Does that make sense? So as we develop pods, some pods might favor live meetings every day. Some pods might never want to meet. We will orchestrate the pods, the people inside of them, based on who likes to work in what style. But the one thing that's going to be in alignment across all entities in the NOVAEO ecosystem, all pods within the NOVAEO entities, is the Harmony system. We will never break from that. And if there's continual break from that, you will break from the team. Make sense? Stack hands. Cool. Well, I will curate some more details about the different bonuses, and I'll put that in text over the next couple days. But I know we're already into April. I'd like to get the wellness bonus started anyway. We'll just say starting Monday, 10,000 steps a day, which means, guys, make sure you have some kind of tracker on you if you have to use your phone. That's all I have is a phone. So, because we are going to hold ourselves, we are going to have accountability systems. Like screenshots or something. We'll figure out some way of having accountability systems for this. But let me pause here. I think I covered everything. I'm going to pause and take a second and make sure I did. I do want to say this, and it's a little negative, but it needs to be said. Unfortunately, it's only about half the people on the team actually watch these videos. And that it stings a little bit. I know they're long, I know. But it's like, you are having an opportunity to basically direct the culture and the relationship between you and the organization that you're working in. Like, you have a huge opportunity here to basically create a major impact on your life from here on out, and an opportunity to understand what it is that you're really signing up for outside of the very specific role that you're being asked to do. And so for those that don't seize this opportunity, that is an immediate signal to me that you're not in agreement with or caring about the team as a collective, about each other, or the vision. And that's ultimately okay as a person, but it's not okay as a NOVAEO team member. And so that's going to be something else that we're going to start getting quite strict with, is absorbing the NOVAEO content. Whether it's what we put out to the public, like I said, or whether it's direct between me and you, we're going to be very strict about the engagement. And speaking of engagement, Okay, I'll say this real quick, and then we'll cut. We're not going to do this quite yet, but we're going to move into a direction. I'm still kind of thinking through the details, but it's like for 30 minutes or maybe an hour every, say, Friday, we're going to take a break from the work, and everyone just goes into social engagement mode. So we'll have all of the various NOVAEO socials, different platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, YouTube. There's probably some more in there. All the different like brands or communities, whether it's any of the product brands, TGT, NOVAEO's getting started, Brandon, Brand Derek, all of the NOVAEO related socials. We're going to take 30 minutes to an hour every Friday to engage in those, and not fake support, to actually engage with each other, to learn who each other are. You will find where your interests are most, and then that's where you engage. It's to be authentic. It's not just for algorithm boosting or to just like create fake positivity with like thumbs ups and hearts and stuff like that. It's to genuinely create an engagement, because one of the things that I'm doing on a business side of things is I want to show to the world that it is possible to create a remote first business at scale with global team. It appears to me that nobody has figured that out. Every big business that moved into remote work during the pandemic is doing recalls. The only remote teams that really seem to succeed when I talk to people are small teams, like under 25 people, or when they're not global teams with tons of different time zones. I haven't found anyone that's able to have a big team, infinitely scalable, across basically all time zones, without an basically primarily remote first. And iTeam, I know you guys aren't remote first. It's really awesome having you guys in office. It does give us like a backbone and a structure. Warehouse team as well. But we will figure out ways to like give you guys additional freedoms as well. But anyway, aside from that, that's part of what I am conceptualizing as this idealistic organizational structure and culture. And so one of the things that you miss in remote first is the bonding with each other. Some very successful companies have an office plus remote culture. And I don't mean like we have the iTeam and the warehouse. I mean, individuals still come to the office sometimes, but are remote other times. That's pretty strong, but obviously we can't do that. So I'm talking purely remote first and global. And so in order to develop that, that's part of why we need to have strict adherence to harmony systems. It's like, what is the bare minimum must-dos? What's that called? The MVP, minimum viable product? What is that MVP that we must adhere to? I'm not sure if I'm using that in the proper context, whatever. You guys get what I mean. What is the bare minimum that we must all adhere to so that everything else can work? And that's why we have to be so strict with that stuff. And so what does remote first lack? Bonding, friendships, stuff like that. So we have to figure out other ways to still develop that. So, Friday social engagement, that'll be something that you'll probably hear from us in the next, probably the next month or so. All right. But until then, I still really appreciate anytime people, if I post a YouTube video public, I really appreciate when people like it, when people add commentary. It does boost algorithms, and there are strangers that are finding us. Most of my Brandon NOVAEO followers, or most of the subscribers, there we go, are not NOVAEO people. It's just kind of interesting. So it's your all's engagement that boosts the algorithm, and then people actually find it accidentally and stumble on it and think these like idealistic visions are pretty sweet. So your commentary helps boost that and helps create more views, which is good. All right, cool. 40 minutes as always. That seems to be my usual. That's so weird. It's like always 40 minutes. All right, well, anyway, thanks again for your all's time. I hope this is pretty awesome news. Post questions if you have them, or ideas, or criticisms, or whatever. Generate conversation.